We hear a lot of stories about people who do not retire. I asked Steve Porcaro years ago, and I've quoted him many times talking about this. Why do you think so many older rock stars are still touring? And he says, well, they don't want to lose their stuff. But he also said that's not always the case because a lot of people like touring. I mean, it's infectious to be in there on the stage with thousands of people throwing love at you while you play the music that made you rich in the first place. It's kind of a cool thing. I often imagine, would I still be doing it? Well, I'm getting my pension next year at 65 and I still love doing what I do. I can't imagine stopping. Slowing down? Yes. Stopping, that's another thing. We talk about that subject with the Moody Blues' Justin Hayward and John Lodge, who are touring separately, and it looks like the Moodies will not get together anymore, but at least we have those two guys, the two main guys, still touring. That and a lot more on Rock History Music. 10 quick facts about the Moody Blues. The Moody Blues started as an R&B band fronted by future Wings guitarist Denny Laine. The first hit was Go Now, a cover of a Bessie Banks song. The band's name was chosen to reflect their R&B style and to pay homage to Duke Ellington's Mood Indigo. They were Mellotron pioneers. The Moody Blues were one of the first bands to use the mellotron, an early keyboard instrument that played tape loops of recorded sounds, which became a signature of their sound. Their first keyboardist, Mike Pinder, was the man who made it possible. They were innovators of the concept album. Their 1967 record, Days of Future Past, is considered one of the first concept albums of all time, blending rock and classical music, and is also credited by some as the first prog album of all time. There have been a few lineup changes in the Moody Blues, but less than most bands that have been around that long. The first main man was Denny Laine, as mentioned before, who went on to become Paul McCartney's sideman in Wings. He was replaced by a dynamic duo in the history of rock and roll, Justin Hayward and John Lodge. Both sang and wrote hit songs, and both defined the classic era of the Moody Blues. Legendary producer Tony Clark, known as the Six Moody, produced most of the classic albums and significantly influenced their sound. Chart success, their song Nights in White Satin initially peaked at number 19 on the UK charts in 1967, but it reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US 5 years later. That was in 72. There was a hiatus and a reunion. The band took a hiatus in the mid-1970s, but reunited in 1977 to release the album Octave. Keyboardist Mike Pinder was out, replaced by Patrick Moraz. This was another big period in their sound. Unique concerts. A lot of bands do symphonic concerts and recordings, but probably one of the most fitting would be, of course, the Moody Blues. They've performed with full orchestras on several occasions, including, of course, a notable performance with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra in 1992. And their second album, the first, was Justin Hayward and John Lodge. Days of Future Past featured the London Festival Orchestra. Influence and legacy. Despite being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame only in 2018, they've influenced so many rockers and will for decades to come. Their mark on progressive and classical rock will never be argued. There you have it, 10 unique facts, 10 interesting tidbits about the Moody Blues. The tour next year, again, going out, and do you tour because are you one of those musicians that just loves it out there? You just, because a player's got to play if he's a musician. Why do you still do it?
How bass will travel. It's as simple as that, really. I just enjoyed it from day one, and obviously there's a lot of downtime and a lot of frustrations and all that. But like ride my seesaw, you come up the other side and you come up positively. And it's a gypsy in me. I enjoy traveling and meeting people, but I enjoy getting on stage and playing the music. And, some of us are players and some of us are listeners. But we're all just singers in a rock and roll band.
Everyone wants to leave their mark, and I hate to sound cliche, but I'm you've got a few years on me, but I'm 63 now, and I'm looking at what I can do with my life. We become more discerning as we get older, and I'm just more careful with things. I've got a YouTube channel that does incredibly well, but I was a lazy young broadcaster. So I like doing what I do. Why do you continue doing what you do? I mean, is it your purpose? You enjoy it, obviously.
Oh, well, I never had a proper job. So this is, yeah, I love being with my crew. I love being with the other musicians. And I feel a duty to do it. And we can do these things. We can play these songs in a sound check just perfectly and immaculately, but when the audience comes in, there's a magic that they bring to the room. It's a bit like you and I, when late at night, or we listen to some piece of music, and there's a kind of an atmosphere created in the room. That's what happens to me, John. I don't know whether it's the same for you, but I'm pretty sure it is. And so the audience brings some magic into that room that is quite incredible most of the time. I mean, there's the occasional heckler, but most of the time, I think we're all there for the same reason. So I'd never really want to give that up, really.
With the tour coming up, how excited are you to get back out there?
So yeah, it's always exciting to get out, meet everyone again. Meet the fans, share a life with people. It's great.
Remember, subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you on board. And keep in mind, we have a Patreon. You can get early access to our videos. You can make a donation via PayPal, but subscribe, like our videos, comment on them, and like them. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take care of yourself.